quickly. It is opening week. This is Nick, joined as always by Kevin.
Hey, what's up, Niner Nation?
Producer Brad making it all work.
Hey.
And the head coach, Robert Woodard. What's up, Woody?
We're back again.
We are back again. It's opening week, man. Is it just me, or is this like the longest week of the year? Because we record these on Monday, but, man, Friday, it is going to take forever to get to Friday.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. I think Sunday, yesterday was kind of a light workout day, training day, just because of the weather. And we went longer on Saturday to get guys in on the mound. And so really kind of like yesterday afternoon and today is kind of slower, but as it gets closer to Friday and first pitch, things start to pick up and I start to hear from more people and the to-do list seems to get longer, not shorter. So that's how it goes.
So like scale of 1 to 10, coach, nervous energy, right? Where are you at right now? It's Monday as we record this. Where are you at?
No, it's all excitement. It's nerves. What can be, I don't know, confuses nerves is just really excitement. I'm excited to get through all the to-do list and all the preparation, that sort of thing. And, get in the dugout with the guys and compete.
So what's your week look like as far as getting on the field and prepping for this first weekend of the season?
Yeah, so today's kind of a recovery on their own day. Guys do what we weigh in every Monday, just for individual and collective team body weights. Guys obviously have class and get ahead in the classroom, and we'll get ahead on study all hours today, and they'll have the facility open. They'll have about a 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. window to get any of their training in with Coach McKibben. So it's kind of one of those things where it's an off day and guys can kind of come and go as they need to. Nobody's really keeping tabs. It's just a day for them to really sort of regroup and recharge. And then Tuesday is position player lift, team practice, pitcher lift. We'll have probably about a 4-inning reliever scrimmage tomorrow. We've got 8 pitchers that we're going to bring in out of the bullpen with kind of a jam or a situation for them to pitch out of. Each guy will probably throw like 15 pitches or less. So it'll really just be really simulating them getting hot and coming in and, pressure situation, that sort of thing, and pitching in the stretch and just things that we have been working on, but really try to fine tune as game week gets here. So that'll be tomorrow. And then Wednesday we go pretty heavy, like team defensive segments and positional segments. Pitchers have a lot of bullpens leading up for the weekend and good lifts. Thursday is really kind of a primer prep day for everyone, and Friday's game day.
Kevin, he seems way too calm about this. I'm jacked up. Okay. By Thursday night, I won't be able to sleep. It's like Christmas Eve, it's just going to be a mess. Kevin, Brad, am I off base here?
Well, coach has to be even keel. I mean,
that's why he gets paid the big bucks.
He's got to be even keel and he's got to be the leader out there. So everybody's looking to him to be calm, cool, and collected under pressure, and that's what he's doing. Even if he is nervous or excited, we wouldn't know it.
Yeah, but you and I don't have to do
that. Practices for the coaches, games are for the players. By game time, it's just their time to roll.
Thank God, no one's looking to us for like guidance or leadership or basically anything. So we can just have fun with it. So, Coach, we cut things short a little bit last week. Well, we didn't really cut them short. We stopped short of talking about your pitching staff, and we promised everybody we'd do that. So let's pick up there. We're going to talk about Virginia Tech and the weekend ahead. But why don't we just start by giving you the floor here and letting you walk fans through your pitching staff and give a little insight into what we can expect to see on the mound for the Niners this year.
Yeah, it's been an exciting group. We've obviously it feels like we kind of lose a lot of innings every year between the graduation and draft. Mm-hmm. So it's we've come fairly used to it here at Charlotte. And so we've got a lot of new fresh faces and this group's worked extremely hard. If you had a chance to see our 2 fall exhibitions against Walter State and Davidson, albeit it's the fall and it doesn't necessarily count like it's going to in the next couple of weeks, but it's I don't know. It was about as impressive as a pitching staff that we've had since we've been here. Just a group that is wide-eyed and eager to learn, eager to improve. Anytime that I feel like they've had adversity or been challenged, they really haven't shown any sort of defeat. It's really just they look for it as an opportunity to respond and get better. And they've sort of stayed centered on that. And we've really seen some growth. So, and then on top of that, they just seem like a really tight group. I mean, they watch each other throw, they pull for one another. Again, whether it's guys that are going to be starting on the weekend or closers or anything like that, or guys who are rehabbing or guys who are, just whatever. Like it's just everybody. It's just a really tight group. It's kind of a team within a team. So it's been a lot of fun with those guys, and I don't know. I'm excited to see them all throw. They worked extremely hard.
Let's start out with some of the guys that we have coming back. Cam Hansen is at the top of the list. Talk a little bit about having Cam Hansen. This is his 3rd season in the program. Talk about how he's progressed as a pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, he's about as cruise control of a pitcher as you can have as a coach. And, I mean, he's somewhat of a pitching coach, strength coach combo on our staff. I mean, he's just extremely mature, work ethic's off the charts. It's just one of those is really, really good about, mentoring other guys, certainly the young ones, and showing them the path that, as far as things that have helped him be successful. He'll certainly mix into our rotation. And we anticipate him pitching a heavy workload for us this spring. We're going to probably wait until Wednesday or Thursday to announce what order which will go as far as rotation goes. But yeah, I mean, just, he's kind of a coach's dream, honestly. He's talented. He's good. He makes everybody else around him better. You never have to worry about him. It's just, he's really, really good.
So, Coach, I think we were having some conversations the other day, sort of just at the ball field, and we were talking about the pitchability of this group. You have got, and I think it's safe to say, since you've been here, you've got more different looks that you can go with on the mound, as far as obviously righties and lefties, but more than that, you've got you've got guys that are start with Tony Rossi and talk about the kind of velo that Tony has shown this preseason, but you've also got guys that are going to kind of do it with breaking off speed, breaking balls, and just a lot of different looks that you can give on the mound. Maybe talk through some of your thought process as you guys recruited and put together this group.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I think you give credit to the guys themselves for being as good as they are and working as hard as they do. And you give credit to them first. And then I think you got to point to Toby Bicknell and, Phil and Coach O and even Coach Miney for the work they do on the recruiting trail and identifying guys. I mean, we talk recruiting in some form or fashion, but, every single day. And we always say the most important team is our current team, and the second most important team is our next team. And much really beyond that, we don't spend too much time on, so the 24 team's the most important, 25 is the next moment. The 26 team, like it'll get here when we get there. So we stay pretty centered, and we're constantly talking about the pitchers that are in our program, how they're developing, how they're doing. In this group, we've got so much projection for how good they are now, but for all the guys that on this pitching staff that are going to be here next year and even the year after that and so forth, like it's really exciting. So when you have a group like we have now, we look at it through the lens of it, the pitchers that we're recruiting, if that are out there, like they've got to be pretty darn good to get into this, into this rotation and into the mix with this group that we have right now. And so if we don't feel like that a pitcher out there, if there's pitchers that we're recruiting out there can't really hang with the guys that we have in here, then, we really try to not rush it. And so I give our coaching staff a lot of credit for year by year sort of identifying where we are as a pitching staff and what we need. And to your point, we prioritize different looks, because when you have a lot of different looks, we look at them as weapons, and you're going to need as many different kind of weapons as possible over the course of a season, whether it's a lefty matchup or, you're going to need cutters, you're going to need splits, you're going to need high slot, low spin, high spin, all that stuff, deception, athletes who can field their positions. You're going to need all kinds of things. So, and these are things that we all talk about as a staff, and we really prioritize. So it's been fun, since arriving here in 2019, really year by year and brick by brick, trying to build a pitching staff that we believe can help us host a regional and get to a super.
Coach, one of the pieces of the puzzle this year, Tony Rossi, he sat out last year, and you guys are welcoming him back to the staff this year. Talk a little bit about him, Tony Rossi, and what he brings to the table for this bullpen.
Well, anytime that you can have a pitcher like Tony in your program and not be watching him pitch in Double-A instead, like that's a good thing. I mean, he's a professional pitcher who just happens to be on our team. I think we have a few of those guys, but just with his age and his experience, his maturity, 4.0 student, his work ethic, his commitment to being great. I mean, and then you throw in the fact that, he's running it up to 98 with a 88 to 90 mile an hour changeup and a really good breaking ball, and his competitive just fortitude. It's awesome. Like I look forward to, giving him the ball as much as he can take it this spring. We're just fortunate to have him.
He has really looked. I've probably seen him, just because of his role, I guess. I've probably seen him make more appearances this preseason than anybody else, and I mean it's really he looks the part. I mean, Tony's looking really physical, just from his mound presence and the way he's worked out. And then, I mean, you must be physical if you can throw a ball 98 miles an hour. You must be pretty physical, and he's doing that. So, going to be really cool to watch. He's worked really hard to get back, and that's phenomenal. On the when we talk about lefties, which, I mean, and honestly, we've talked about this before in the past. I think particularly like maybe your first full season, we've at times maybe been a little short-handed on left-handed pitching, but you've got it well stocked this year. You've got two key returners from the left-hand side in AJ Wilson and Andrew Spolyar. Talk about what we can see from those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. So, we've worked really hard with AJ on some things on his delivery, and he's a year older, a year stronger. And, so his stuff's ticking up, and we've really challenged him to face we've pretty much had 2 lineups the last 2 weeks, and one lineup's got a bunch of our left-handed hitters and one lineup's had a bunch of our right-handed hitters, and we've kind of made him face a bunch of the righties the last 2 weeks, and I think that challenge has really, really helped him. He's throwing the ball really well for us in the preseason, and he's just a bulldog. Like, he came here to help. He was in another dugout in the 2021 regional against us, and he came here right after we finished that regional to help us, get to the next level. So, he would run through a wall to help us go to Omaha, and so just excited for him to have a really great year. And I know how much he cares about this place. And then Andrew Spoyer, he's just, he's in that Cam Hansen category as far as just kind of a cruise control pitcher that you never have to worry about. You always know he's working hard. You know he's never taking a shortcut. You know that he wants to make people around him better. You know he's going to give you everything he's got. Daisy feels great and Daisy doesn't. So, it's just those are 2 guys that I think they're both 22, 23, maybe even 24 years old. That, they've got a chance to kind of be that next group to leave the program better than they found it.
The Hayes is obviously my favorite place to watch a baseball game. But if there's one thing that we don't get at the Hayes, because the seats are elevated, is an opportunity to see some of these pitches break like you do when you're on the ground, on ground level. And Old Dominion, which I guess maybe I don't know if that they got their new park under construction. I don't know if that's where that's at, but anyway, their old park, you had an observation area under the stands where you could basically stand right behind home plate. And I stood down there for a while and watched AJ pitch last time we were there. And AJ Wilson's slider is a thing of beauty to behold, especially for that left-handed batter. If he's got that slider working, a lefty doesn't have a chance. I would duck from it. It looks like it's going to hit you. And then he drops it in across the zone. It's nasty.
Yeah, that was one of his best outings. I remember that outing well. And we've seen a lot more of that from AJ since in the fall and in the preseason here. And yeah, if those are the kind of outings he has this spring, then he's going to have a big year, and it couldn't happen to a better person and a better family. They've been awesome every step of the way.
All right, Coach. Another returner. He's getting a lot of preseason publicity as far as being a draft prospect. Miles Langhorne. He's been getting it up there on the radar gun this fall. I've noticed from the tweets and showing the velo. Talk a little bit about him from last season to this season, how he's progressed.
Yeah, Miles, you could argue that Miles might be one of the most naturally gifted players on our team, pitchers on our staff. It's electric stuff, and got that kind of Walker Buehler frame and delivery and twitch to him. And, I've just been so impressed with Miles' just growth as a person the last 7 or 8 months. And I've just noticed all kinds of things as far as him really kind of getting out of himself and getting into the team more than I've ever seen. Not that he wasn't last year or anything. It's just kind of like, every time I look, I see Miles watching somebody else throw a bullpen or showing somebody else in the indoor facility how to go through some like mobility routines that he's really good at and that help him. So he's really added that element to kind of his daily process. And I've seen that sort of translate with him on the mound. He just seems as comfortable and as poised and confident as I've seen. And, we anticipate him having a really, big and important, meaningful role on our pitching staff this spring. And in all likelihood, and this could be his last spring with us as he's draft eligible. And, typically guys that look like him and throw like him, they usually don't stay in college baseball too long, but, and he'll be the last person to say that, but I'm usually just pretty transparent about that. And I say that because, we just want to try to make the most of the time that we have with him and every player on our team. Because I want him, if this is, his last spring with us before he gets drafted, then, we want him to go out on a high note and again, just empty the tank, in a game and in a place where we haven't been before as a program. He's got a chance to do that for us.
So much of the talk in college sports in general, Coach, is about the transfer portal. You guys use the portal this offseason to add some experience to the pitching staff. Cole Reynolds from E01 is an example. AJ Pats from Davidson is an example. Trevor Annaball came from, I believe, Southern New Hampshire. Those are just some examples of you guys using the transfer portal to acquire some guys that have some innings on them and have some experience under their belt. So talk a little bit about that process as you're identifying available talent in the portal.
Yeah, again, it just looks back. We look at our current team and our next year's team, truthfully, on a windows up in the offices. And, when you look at next year's team, you have to wipe out the seniors and you kind of have to move the draft guys over another spot. And then you got these guys coming back. And then you have a whole list of pitchers that you're recruiting from. Doesn't really transfer portal or high school. It really doesn't matter. It's sort of like, these are the crop of pitchers that are available that we're in touch with, or we've, at least identified that have potential to help us. And then we just have the conversations right there. And we have to say, okay, where do we predict this, these guys who are returning just, because we anticipate them all continuing to develop and improve and grow. Okay. So with those guys improving and, we try to be very selective with the guys that we bring in as far as legitimately being able to come in here and have an impact, and what that kind of looks like. Who are guys that we feel like can, compete for weekend starter jobs, and who can be one of the first guys out of the bullpen, and who can be a matchup guy, and who can be a closer, and who can guys that recover well and guys that don't recover well, but they can be really good one day a week. I mean, we have all these, we try to really be as specific as we can with the pitching staffs that we build and the lineups that we build and the defenses along that. I mean, we really, as a coaching staff, we're passionate about it. And it's I think it's one of the most fun things we do. It's not, not keeping my hair brown, but it's, it is something that I think it's just team building. And, so it's really neat when guys come in and they are what we thought they'd be. And then it's even better when guys come in and it's like, wow, like this kid is a harder worker and he's a better pitcher and he's got a higher ceiling than we even thought. And that stuff happens all the time.
Coach, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from me about hair. Okay. That's just, you've come to the wrong place for that.
I got you.
Coach, so you see these guys in August when they get to campus. Fast forward, now it's February. We're opening week. Give us a couple of guys that you've seen since August that have made some jumps, impressed. Just a couple of names that the fans can look forward to seeing at the Hayes this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on a lot of guys that are going to be out there a lot for us, and then I think in terms of a new name, Ryan Deggs is somebody that, he came here as a two-way guy, played outfield, hit and pitched. And we felt like the pitching was more ready, was more ready to have an impact. We felt like if we kind of throttled down the workload on the hitting and the defense and the outfield, and could spend a little more time with Coach McKibben and a little bit more time in throwing sessions with the pitchers and that sort of thing, that we feel like it could really help. And man, he's looked good. Like, he has looked really good. As the fall progressed, when we did that in the preseason, he's kind of taken another jump. So, he's certainly a fun one to watch. And I would say we talked about Trevor Hannibal. I mean, he's just a veteran competitor, strike thrower that I think he can pitch in a lot of different roles. Chase Carson is sort of a big lefty that he's thrown really well in our 2 exhibition games. Just has really put a ton of work in and has the ability to get lefties and righties out. I think he's got the ability to come out. He's shown the ability to come out of the bullpen for us and 2 to 4 or 5 inning windows. And, he's a bulldog, but he's kind of got that quiet bulldog to him that I really like. Jorge De Cardenas he's probably one of those guys that you've just seen like stair climb, just development, where it's just been kind of like he was good. And then it's like you see him get better and he stays better and he gets a little better. And then you kind of just seen him progress that way since he's been here. And it hasn't been all easy or success and that sort of thing. But again, he's another one that maybe I felt like at the beginning was frustrated with facing really good hitters in our lineup and, and those kinds of things. And then all of a sudden he just kind of broke through and said, no, I belong and I can do this. And just showed up every single day, like trying to get better. And we've seen it. I mean, he's pitched really, really well in the preseason. I mean, again, just another guy that I think has the ability if you told me that he was starting one of our biggest games of the year, coming in big spot in the middle or getting the last 3 outs, I mean, I really don't know. His role is just going to emerge with the opportunities that he has, and he's going to certainly have them coming here this weekend and first few games. So, again, just he's one. I mean, he's been running up to 94, 95 pretty consistently here, and got good stuff. So, talked about Cole Reynolds, but he's probably got the most poise and kind of our slowest heartbeat of any or BPM out there on the mound of any pitcher we have. I mean, he's a pretty calm, cool, collected pitcher with a lot of talent and ability, and kind of had a heavier workload last spring at E01 and transitioned to going from 2-way to pitching only. So he really just focused on getting stronger and training and building up all fall, and kind of gotten our first look at him at the Hayes this preseason, and he's been really good. So excited to see him. But I mean, we got Trey Baker. Trey Baker's been another one that's been outstanding for us since his arrival. I mean, another one again that if he can start a game, he can leverage in the middle and close. So I don't know. There's a lot of them, and that's a good feeling.
Coach, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the crop of freshman arms that you brought in. But before we do that, personal point of order, I know he's working his way back from an injury he sustained last year. But what about our guy, Anthony Casiola? Because he's fun to watch warm up, much less pitch.
Yeah.
How's Cass doing?
Man, he's doing great. He's one of the hardest workers in the program, and he's coming back from shoulder rehab, and he's just crushing it. And just each and every time he's getting on the bump, he's that much closer. So we're going to see him at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, because I know there's not anybody that cares more about Charlotte baseball than him. And don't think there's anybody, or he's one of the hardest workers. That's for dang sure. I mean, he's an animal, and love coaching him.
Yeah, if you don't like watching Anthony Casiola work on the mound, then you don't like watching pitchers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. Can't wait to see him out there. So what about this? What about this crop of young guys that you guys brought in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been an awesome group, and I think Joseph Taylor amongst them on the mound is kind of one where we knew he was polished, we knew he was a strike thrower, but now the stuff's kind of started to make a jump, and I mean, I think he struck out the side in his inning that he threw on Saturday and was pretty electric. So, just seeing his progression from high school and Legion ball, making the jump to this level, it's not easy to do. And he's really just embraced the challenge and stayed true to himself and leaned on some of the older guys. And it's been really neat to see him. I mean, Wesley Jones is special. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's a tick behind in terms of being ready to get out there. Just, occasionally you run into some, January and February, we like to be a little bit cautious with some guys just as far as making sure they're ready to get going and not just throw them out there. But he'll be out there sooner rather than later. And I mean, he's another one that's pretty much sat 93 to 95 for us in the fall as a true freshman, and, work ethic and makeup and stuff's just off the charts. So, I'll be excited to get him out there. Tanner Kaler's a really awesome lefty that's the guys love, and I feel like he's already grown and matured just so much since he's been on campus. So it's just, it's a really fun group. I mean, I think that rounds up kind of our freshman pitchers. Yeah, they're just a really fun group, and they've embraced the challenge. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, practice is going to be hard, training is going to be hard. The days of you just throwing fastballs and dominating high school hitters, like those are over. So, just embrace how difficult it's going to be, and trust that. Because I think there's an element with, I don't know, whether it's just other college teams out there, certainly not, but just really any sport in general. Like, if you don't challenge, you get, challenge, make your program extremely competitive, you can almost like take a haymaker when the other team rolls in, because you had this false confidence that, you might have thought you were better than you were. And, so it's better to face, really good arms and really good hitters, and have our base runners put as much pressure as possible on our pitchers and all these types of things. So that when the game starts, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this is the speed we're used to. So I think our freshman pitchers have done a phenomenal job of, adapting to all those things.
Okay, Coach. Well, it looks like you got a good group of freshmen coming in. Still a few guys here that are going to sort of round things out for us. Why don't you walk us through some of those guys?
Yeah, no, and they're, anticipating them playing big roles on our pitching staff. Adam Stanton from Iowa Western, he was one of the best. He started and closed for them. He's another kind of big, physical, strong righty that competes, comes right at you, sort of 3-pitch mix, and he's just a bulldog. So, he's going to be in the mix. Joel Sarver, season last year got cut short, unfortunately. And I'll just tell you, like, I've seen a decent number of pitchers come back from Tommy John, and I don't know if I've seen anybody attack a rehab process like Joel Sarver. I mean, he's going to come back from this thing better than he was before, and he was pretty dang good before. So he's ahead of schedule. And like everything we're seeing, we're kind of we want to make sure that we stay the course as far as not rushing him, and but he's gonna be in the mix for us at some point. I mean, he's already back up to 94, and the sliders back, and the feel for the changeups coming back. So it's really just a matter of time. We're just going to make sure that we stay the course with him as far as when he does get back out there, that we're doing right by him and his long-term future. But those two guys are certainly going to have big impacts on our staff, and they're both incredible workers and leaders. So I'm excited for them both.
So, Coach, with you guys have gone through and this is kind of a general pitching question since we're talking pitching tonight. I noticed that you made a comment on social media about the ramp up period for college pitchers. Kevin, was it Kendall Rogers or was it Aaron Fitt? One of the D1 guys.
Yeah, they suggested that. They suggested NCAA allow for pitchers and catchers to start working out prior to the mid-January date in order to properly ramp up for mid-February start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little – I mean, if you really think about it, like we're not allowed to start team practice till January 27th or 26th. I mean – we basically have 3 weekends to scrimmage ourselves. And then we're supposed to send guys out there and throw 80, 85, 90, 75 pitches. I don't know.
After 3 weeks.
We're in pretty moderate climate here. I would say, we're kind of at the line. You go north of us and west of us, those temps are dropping. You miss days out on the field. Guys don't get built up. It's a bad recipe. I mean, honestly, like it's one of those things where I look back at when I was a player and I just shake my head at kind of our throwing schedules and timelines and that sort of thing. I mean, we've kind of gotten to where when we finish our fall, we kind of ramp guys down slowly, and then we don't ever really stop throwing. We kind of just ramp them down, and then we gradually ramp them back up. Just because we really don't want to get to a phase where they've lost that range of motion and that feel and everything. So, I feel confident that our guys are always going to be prepared here, but you kind of get behind the 8 ball if you start getting bad weather and, or somebody at home over winter break, they want to go on vacation with their family members, like
college students sometimes do.
Yeah. It puts them behind the 8 ball. I mean, it just puts them behind because, they're not allowed to be back here. We're not allowed to start any skill work with them until class starts, and that's January 10th. So we basically get 16 days to have skill work with them, but you can't have the full team out there for very limited hours. So anyways, it's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I mean, I think pitchers and catchers you should be able to really kind of do whatever you want January 2nd on. I mean, you're just talking about, an arm injury is 11 to 14 months. And, it's kind of like 14 months, the 95% success rate, 13 months is 90% success rate, and 12 months is 85, and 11 months is 80% success rate in terms of returning. But you're still looking at 11 months, and I don't know. I'd like to see a little bit more time.
And I think Kendall was posting about that in response to an announcement of a season-ending injury. I'm not sure, was it maybe at Ole Miss or something along those lines, but he was responding to an arm injury.
Yeah, if you look at the research, I mean, it's out there as far as what months of the calendar year does the bulk of Tommy John injuries occur, right? Because it's like, I mean, guys are on the mound in January through November 1st, October 1st, somewhere in there. And it's not like an even distribution of when those injuries occur.
Mm-hmm.
The highest volume of injuries is January. The second highest volume is February. The third highest volume is March. The fourth highest is September. And why would it be September? Well, that's because either professionals are at the back end of a 144 or 160 game season and they've exceeded their capacity, or you have guys that, they go play summer ball, they shut down after their college season, they go play summer ball, they shut down after summer ball, then they ramp back up for fall ball, and they're, it's just a bad recipe. So September is like the third or the fourth highest volume. But every coach in America, you just hold your breath in January and February. And, thankfully it's kind of, I don't know, you just try to control the things you can control. But it would be nice to have more time. There's nothing more important than student athletes' well-being. And so.
And you think that extra week to 10 days would get you what you need?
I just can't hurt.
It would hurt. Yeah.
It can't hurt. And I want the guys, I think all the guys want to be with their families and that sort of thing. But we've got more guys now than ever that, they go home when finals end December 12th, 13th, 14th. We had tons of guys that went, they would stay, they came back here like the day after Christmas, like December 26th, and they just moved back. They came back to their apartment and they just came to our stadium and they just start training because they got better resources here at our stadium and, than whatever they have back home. And they just understand. It's like it's a race against the clock to really get ready. And so I don't know, could probably do a whole other podcast on that sort of thing, but it's kind of one of those, it's definitely a change that, I think if you did that, and I think if you started the college baseball season a little bit later, I think if there was a way for that to happen and not lose games, I think that those would be good things.
There's all kind of good ideas floating around college baseball. Honestly, it doesn't seem like very many of them ever get implemented. The first one that happened was like the new assistant, the third assistant. How long had that been talked about? That was years.
Yeah, and they didn't actually give us another assistant either. They allowed the third assistant to go from volunteer to full time, but they didn't give us another coach. So we still have 4 or 5 coaches for 40 players. I don't know. We're like if you go look at every Division I sport, like player to coach ratio, it's like baseball. And then you start, thankfully we don't have the 25% roster limit rule, and 27 got expanded and some things, but we're still like one of the most, 11.7 scholarships for 40 players.
Yeah.
Right. It's, I don't know. College baseball we're in such a good place. We've come so far from when I was a player. Like we haven't gone backwards. Like we've grown, but it's like there's so much more in the tank. And I don't know. I'm 39 and I'm not on really any decision-making committees and that sort of thing. But, I don't know. There's a lot of great coaches too that don't stay in the game that should. That's the other thing too. Like I've got friends that phenomenal coaches that I used to coach with that, the third assistant deal didn't pass and life happened and they needed to go be a dad and be a husband and that sort of thing. And
right.
And they had to go do something else. So I don't know. I'd like to see less restrictions and more additions to, college baseball, but that's probably for all another podcast.
Absolutely. We could talk about that for days, but we appreciate your perspective on it because I knew you, especially starting with, since we've been talking about pitching and you had just recently commented on that rule about the ramp up period. So knew you'd have some great thoughts on that. Why don't we talk about something else I know you're going to have some great thoughts on? Why don't we turn our focus towards Virginia Tech? Obviously a program you're familiar with, different coaching staff, but you spent time in Blacksburg. We just played them there last year, and you guys have been doing the scout on Virginia Tech this week. So why don't you tell us what we can expect this weekend?
Yeah, I mean they were in a super regional 2 years ago, hosted a super regional 2 years ago. That coaching staff, they've gone in there since they came in even while I was at UNC, and they've just completely revamped that entire program and give them a ton of credit because it's been impressive to watch. And their coaching staff they're great guys and work extremely hard. But as far as their team that's rolling in here, I mean, it's another really talented Virginia Tech team. They returned their entire infield group. They've got a likely first rounder playing third base, Carson DiMartini, who there'll be a lot of pro guys in here to see him along with our guys. And, so when they have an experienced infield and, returning catcher and some more mature guys that they brought in some transfer portal guys for the outfield and a bunch of guys on the mound. So, they're just going to be another really good Virginia Tech team. They're well coached. They work hard. Blue collar program that's talented. So it'll be a great test for us out of the gate.
Right, Coach. You mentioned we went up there last year. This is a return series from that deal, home and home, right? Do we have any plans for the future to continue this schedule with Virginia Tech since they're fairly close to us?
Yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see us playing. I mean, we don't have anything lined up yet in 25 or 26, but I just have a ton of respect for that program and what they're doing. And us, we always like to play really strong teams, so they're certainly that. But no, I mean, I think the dates that kind of been thrown out there have been a little bit too early for us to go up to Blacksburg. I kind of told Coach Sheff that I'm definitely not doing a trip back there that rhymes with February. I've done that. I did that for 3 years. March is doable kind of thing, but it just we haven't worked it out. I'm joking. I mean, I'm sure we'll go up there again at some point.
I'm not. That Friday game with Hootapole on the mound last year, I still say the coldest series I've ever been to was when we hosted App State. Was that going on 3 years ago? That whole weekend, it was cold and windy. That's probably the coldest series I've been to. But I think the coldest single game I've been to was that Friday. I swear we played in sleet.
I coached there for 3 years, so that wouldn't even be in my top 10, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't need any additions to my top 10. Okay.
No, I'll tell you this, since we're on the coldest games of all time, I would say the coldest places I've ever coached are Blacksburg, but even colder was Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. Those two in particular, like, man, I mean, it was just like we had pitchers like in the bathrooms, just like we had like if you're available to pitch, you were just like piled into a bathroom, and it was like, hey, it was like Kevin, like open the bathroom door, hey Kevin, go warm up, you ready for the next half, and like pitcher would just come out of the bathroom and like head down to the bullpen, but those are the two. Those are the three coldest places that come to mind that I've coached.
So what you're saying is we should not look for any trips to South Bend or Pittsburgh on the schedule in the coming years.
Not unless we go to play in like May.
yeah. That might be all right. So, yeah, those were. But yeah, that was cold. It warmed up the rest of the weekend. We did by Sunday. It was actually pretty decent. But that.
No, yeah. I'm really just joking. I mean, I've enjoyed my time at Virginia Tech and all that stuff, and Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. I mean, some great games with those guys. It's really just, but those are the coldest. Those are the three coldest places I've ever been in a baseball field, for sure.
Well, we're getting close, so we can start checking the weather forecast for the weekend. I know you guys always keep an eye on it, but it looks like Friday's 62 degrees, so definitely not Virginia Tech Blacksburg weather here in Charlotte for Friday's game at least. Looking forward to it. I mean, 62 degrees is perfect for February.
Oh yeah, anything that doesn't start with a 3, I mean, or a 4, but like once you start seeing stuff start with 5s and 6s in February, you're good. Well,
Coach, we're getting ready to start winding this one down, but I do want to quickly give you a chance to talk about. You guys are doing something. It'll be tomorrow night. We're recording this on a Monday, but tomorrow night, Tuesday night, you guys are doing for the second year in a row. You're doing a student home run derby at the Hayes, and this event was a lot of fun last year. That's where Boo Vinoy hit one out of the ballpark. So I give you a second to plug that and ask a question. Do we have any softball players scheduled to appear this year?
I hope so. I mean, that was electric. That was like one of the coolest things ever. And based on what I've seen from our team this year, I think we might have more than one that can hit one out. That was so. I hope they come out. But it's 6 to 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 6 to 8 o'clock. At the Hayes. All you got to do is bring your student ID, and we'll supply the bats. We'll supply the balls. Our guys will be there. Coincidentally, we have every 3 weeks or so, Leonard Hilliard, he's a big part of our program. He's our team barber. He comes over to the Hayes. This is kind of a side note. So from 6 to 8 tomorrow night, Hill's going to come over and cut our guys and staff's hair up in the offices, and we're also going to have the home run derby down there. So it'll be a good night at the Hayes. We'll have a lot of stuff going on. But last year, I mean, we probably had 100 plus students come out, and as you mentioned, Boo hit a bomb, and we'll turn the music on. We'll get it cranked up and get everybody ready for the basketball game on Thursday. Guys are playing well. And, and then our guys teeing up for the first time on Friday, and then, our softball team having their home opener. So just a lot of good stuff to kind of tee up here.
Yeah. And I'll throw out there as well with all the good stuff. Tailgate this weekend, tailgate lot should be opening by 10. For the home opener on Saturday, and baseball and softball are both playing at 2:00. So
I'll be there.
Yeah, come on out. If you're around, if you're listening to this, and I know we got a lot of new parents this year. I've met some of them already. This past weekend at the ballpark. Let's see. I met Reed Hare's mom and dad. Let's see. I met Jacob Taylor's mom, and I met the Jones family. I met Tanner Kaler's dad. Anyway, we're starting to meet some of these folks. If you're out there and you're watching this, you're listening to this, and you're thinking, "Am I invited to the tailgate?" The answer is yes. So we'll be right out in front of the Hayes there, and sort of in between the Hayes and football stadium. And so, no matter who you are, parent, family, friend, fan, random person, stop by the tailgate. We'll be there, and the more the merrier. Can't wait to get this started. Kevin, you're about to make a point.
I was just going to say the tailgate Saturday.
Oh,
yeah. Well, we've got on Friday. We've got softball first, baseball in second.
What are y'all's food or beverage contribution to the tailgate? Like what are you each? What are your roles at the tailgate?
I think it
other than organizing and basically starting it from scratch.
Well, like this week, I can tell you. So we always do something. It's usually pretty simple. So to start with, because honestly, especially this year, a lot of there's we're having to kind of rebuild the tailgating scene with some of the mainstays that have passed out of the program.
Well, we went. That's what the transfer portal and recruiting classes are for. You're bringing in.
That's right. And so we're gonna get everybody up to speed. But like this weekend is Zach and Emily Hill, who are always involved in this, outstanding supporters of the program and hardcore tailgaters in their own right, are going to be there. And I think we're just going to start off with some hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill for week one, because it's easy, it's simple, and it's go-to. And then while we're standing there at the tailgate, we usually start planning future weeks, and then it gets more complicated, where we start talking about, are we gonna smoke a pork tenderloin, or are we gonna make Brunswick stew, whatever ends up happening. So week one's usually pretty simple.
Yeah. Well, I know a guy with a smoker, so may need to connect with David Chastain and see what he can do. He's mean on that thing.
I'm all for that. I'm absolutely.
It's legit. It is legit.
And Kevin, Kevin's a veteran tailgater. He's like the Swiss Army knife at a tailgate. Dude can do.
Okay, what does that mean? What are you bringing to the table, Kevin?
Usually beverages. That's what makes it all go, right? The beverages.
I got you.
Got to make sure everyone stays hydrated. It's gonna be a long game.
He didn't ask you what you consumed. He was asking you what you brought.
well, yeah, I contribute. You gotta keep an eye on everything like that. So.
It's one and the same.
Yeah.
Hydration is important, right?
It's good stuff. We're gonna have a blast either way. Come and find us. We won't. I promise you, we will not be hard to find if you're out there in the parking lot in between the Hayes and Jerry Richardson Stadium. We will be visible. We'll be there. And like I said, if you're listening to this, you're welcome there. So we can't wait to meet you or see you again and when you stop by. So, all right, folks, I guess that's it. I guess that's all that's left to do is just get ready and go play baseball, right?
Go play ball.
Let's go play ball. So, folks, if you're looking for this, you found it if you're listening to it, subscribe to Diamond Niner Report on YouTube. You get notified of content. We're also on Spotify. We're also some other places like Google Play and Apple Podcasts. So just click subscribe, and then you get notifications of new content, because we're going to do this every week. If you're new to the program, we will do this every week until it's over. Okay, so we're not going anywhere. This is a weekly thing, and we appreciate you tuning in. Follow Diamond Niner Report on social media. During Twitter, we're going to be all over the place tweeting during games. Follow us there at Diamond Niner Report. Always reach out. We love hearing from you folks. Of course, we're old-fashioned too, so you can always just reach out by saying hello to us in person. All right, it's opening week. It's that time of year. It's Christmas Eve now. Let's go jump on the Hokies. For Kevin, for producer Brad, and Coach Woody, this has been Nick. And hey, folks, we're going to see you at the Hayes.
Go Niners.